All right, welcome to another Tuesday of Unbiased, as I always say, objective discussion. This is Village Square, your result-oriented and solution-driven program, a program where we talk, where we discuss local issues with global perspective. Village Square is brought to you by Tech and Peace Desk and supported by Church in Action Netherlands. I am Gloria Pal, your village headmistress, and I will be assisted by Julius Abimuku. Good morning once again, and you're welcome. Today I have someone very interesting in the studio who will be discussing something, an issue someone would say has been overflogged, but no, I don't think it's been overflogged. It's no other person than Noskizito, popularly known Noskizito. Well, Noskizito, can you just introduce yourself?
Yeah, good morning, listener. Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Tech and Peace Dex, for this opportunity to be part of the Village Square meeting. And I'm glad to be here. My name is Noskizito, as you said. I work with Plateau State Hospitals Management Board, and I'm a nurse, I'm a midwife, and a public health expert. And this is not my first time of being in this studio. We've been here severally to talk on issues bordering on health and how people can take care of themselves. And I'm happy to be here.
Thank you very much. So today, Noskizito is going to be our global villager. So you're welcome to the global village.
Thank you so much.
We'll be talking on something, as I said earlier, the prevalence of cholera. Yes, cholera. Some people, it's funny that someone doesn't even know what cholera is. Some people just see it as that one chew that affects somebody, and Anna Amezao and all of that. Please, I'll ask you to tell me and my villagers, give us an overview of what cholera is.
Yes, cholera is a bacterial infection, and first emerged and discovered in 1817. So you can see that I think almost everybody by now is not alive. 1817 to date, we're in 2021. So it's a disease that emanated from the Ganges Delta with an outbreak in India and Sri Lanka, and it found its way and spread all over the world, and it's one of the diseases that kills faster, and it's found among us, and it's so common such that you eat fruits that are contaminated with this particular type of bacteria without washing it properly, and you ingest it, the bacteria. That is when it tends to tamper with the digestive system, and you start vomiting, passing watery stool. We call it rice water stool. Like, it's so watery, and as that person is passing that particular stool, you discover that it can spread, because if the stool is not passed in the right way, and there is flood of water, it can take it from one point to the other, and if the person touches that particular stool, it means then you've picked the bacteria on your hand, and if you touch another surface, you've already spread the bacteria in that particular place, and paraventually you eat in the same plate with the person, and the person has that particular bacteria in his hand or her hand, and the person eats without washing his or her hand. What the other person can pick up the bacteria, and as I said, you discover that once it enters the system, somebody starts passing watery stool, the person will be vomiting, and before you know it, the person gets so dehydrated with manifestation of flappy skin. Like, if you don't rush the person to the hospital on time, sometimes it's even hard for us, the health personnel, to even locate the veins to start transfusing the person. So, but then, if you are quick to take the person to the hospital and is attended to promptly, the chances of survival is quite high. So it's rampant about among us, and it quite as a result of unhygienic kind of lifestyle that can make the bacteria to keep spreading and keep infecting a lot of people left, right, and center. And at a point in time, if you go to a particular community or setting and that particular outbreak is there, and they do not tame it down by ensuring proper hygiene, as I said, proper sanitation, you wash your fruits, you boil your water. If you cannot boil water and you have chlorine, you put it inside the water so that you take good source of water you're taking. It should be a good source of water. Maybe cook. If you cannot cook it, you put chlorine. If you don't have the chlorine, the best form of treating the water is to boil the water. It kills the bacteria. So then you discover that it becomes almost like almost everybody in that particular community will be infected with the bacteria, and that is why sometimes you discover that the public health expert has to key in and go to that particular community and start educating the people about the need to be hygienic, ensure that you have proper kind of sanitation, ensure that you advise the people to wash their hands properly, ensure that if you must eat fruits like mango, Italy and whatever, make sure that you wash it with salt. Salt is, I think almost every household can have access to salt, and we do use it to cook. So that same salt, if you wash whatever fruits, vegetables with it, you can kill the bacteria, and from there you break the chain of infection. That ordinarily, if you don't do that, you keep infecting other people around you and in the surrounding.
Thank you very much for that. It's so wonderful. I like the way you explained. You went further. You cleared the air for us.
Thank you so much.
You made mention of the fact that it kills fast.
Yes.
How fast?
It depends on the person, because when you're vomiting and passing loose stool, you lose lot of water that is supposed to maintain, to make you hydrated. Now, by the time you are dehydrated, your blood pressure drops immediately. You get the point. Now, once your blood pressure drops to a certain extent, one can pass on. But then, if as you're vomiting and passing that loose stool, once you're taken to the hospital, they start rehydrating you, meanwhile looking for other medications that can support that particular hydration with flutes. You get the point. Now, as you're passing the stool and you're vomiting, another water is being, replaced in the system. So failure to take the person to the hospital quickly, it's what kills people faster. But if you have access to a hospital and you're close to a health facility that can attend to you promptly, then.
So are you saying that once you notice someone has this,
yes,
that's for those that are able to ascertain that this is cholera, there's no form of first aid given to the person before you take the person to the hospital?
Yes, you can start with you start drinking water, but of course you know that you are vomiting.
Okay.
But sometimes we advise that if you can have access to ORT, oral rehydration therapy,
okay,
just take it even as you're vomiting. Sometimes we believe that you cannot throw everything out. So, but then at that point in time, you will be weak. You get the point. So the person, if you don't have any source of help, but then that's the only way you can rehydrate the person. At least let the person keep drinking water. But then you're already vomiting and passing loose stool. So the fastest thing you can do and think of is to rush the person to the nearest hospital. That will save the person faster than you stay at home and maybe be taking flagyl, be giving yourself self-treatment and other things. If you can do that, fine. But then the first thing you can do is to think of how to get to the nearest primary healthcare center or any secondary hospital close to you. And that's why we do advise that in this time that we have the outbreak, every health facility should have access to emergency treatment related to cholera. Since we have it on the plateau, it then shows that every primary healthcare center, because almost every village have a primary healthcare center, they should be equipped with the necessary medications that you can start taking care of the person. But if it's getting out of hand, that you feel your facility cannot be able to take care of the person, there's what we call referral centers. Now, from the primary healthcare center, you can take the person to maybe a cottage hospital or any other hospital that is a bit higher than yours. If you're in the village, in the rural areas, you can transport the person to the primary healthcare center at the ward level. There you can have maybe more medications and more health experts that can attend to the person. And if it pass their own level, they can transport the person to. In Plateau State, we have cottage hospitals and general hospitals in almost all the local government except Lantang South, Kanke, and Riom already has been commissioned. Okay. So ordinarily there were 3, and I know Lantang South, the hospital has been it's already at level of commissioning, so that will be open. Then the other one in Kanke is also under construction. So by that it then means that we have at least a bigger hospital that can handle the cases. So before you do the referral, at least at the primary care center, you start rehydrating the person. The person can be in the car and he still have the drips on. Okay. So sometimes maybe the health workers in that particular health facility can help in transporting the person alongside the family members. But as I said, once you're taking care of anybody that have cholera infection, it then means that whatever, immediately you touch the person, you have to wash your hand and avoid touching surfaces without washing your hand that other people can have access to. You get the point. You don't open the door as you're going out without washing your hand. And but eventually you discover that you've touched the door without washing your hand. Wash your hand, come back and make sure you sterilize that particular door before somebody will come and use his or her hand and get himself infected.
So before we get to the transmission now, I need clarification on, you just touched on it.
Yeah.
Is it that whenever you just notice you're stooling, loose stool, then you begin to treat for cholera, or what are the specific symptoms for this disease?
Yes, the specific symptoms are the vomiting and the passage of a loose stool. We call it rice water stool. Very loose, watery in nature. But sometimes it's not every vomiting and passage of loose stool that is cholera. And that is why in the hospital, you pick the stool and you do what we call a microscopic culture and sensitivity test. They grow the stool, and it then pick that particular bacteria. And if we discover that it is the bacteria that causes cholera, of course you are now sure that this person has what we call cholera. But then, being as it may, once somebody is vomiting and passing loose stool, any health personnel, it comes to your mind. You suspect it, and you treat as the symptoms present themselves. Okay. You get the point. As the person is vomiting, definitely.
Does the symptom vary?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the common symptom is vomiting and passage of loose stool.
Okay.
But you get a point. But depending on, individuals react to things differently.
Yes.
I might eat fruits that has the bacteria. I might not react fast enough. Maybe like after 2 hours, or maybe after some minutes, somebody will start vomiting and passing loose stool, but another person will stay longer than the other person. So depending on the individual. But as I said, once you notice that the treatment, whether it is as a result of typhoid fever, is as a result of food poisoning, the treatment guidelines are almost the same. Well, you start rehydrating the person and you look for what to try to stop the vomiting and passage of the loose stool. You get a point. Because as I said, once you're passing that loose stool and vomiting at the same time, if care is not taken, your blood pressure will drop significantly. And once it drops down so to a certain level, the person might even pass on. So you treat the person as the symptoms present. Meanwhile, you don't just treat only for malaria, for the cholera. Other tests can be carried out. It could be typhoid, it could be malaria. So you get the person tested and place the person on medication, so that by the time the person is leaving the hospital, even if the person came in with a cholera and you discover that there are a test positive for malaria, why not you go ahead and treat even the malaria, so that as the person is going back, he shouldn't go back and go home and come back because the malaria has grown to a significant level that he or she cannot contain it. You get it? So the treatment guidelines are almost the same. But then hygiene should be the key factor in that particular aspect.
Yeah. So there's this notion or this norm that people believe that cholera is caused by flies, and you kept mentioning bacteria. Can you tell us, is this thing about the flies true?
It is not caused by the flies, but the flies can pick the bacteria.
Okay.
Assuming somebody that has cholera pass stool and flies gathered on that particular stool, they pick the bacteria from that particular stool and go to the tree, drop it on the mango or on the Italy, yes, or on whatever. You get the point. Or even the women that are selling all these fruits on the street, selling meat, selling things, they put it on their heads. It's not covered. So the flies can pick it from the stool, drop it on that particular fruit, and when somebody buys the fruit and the person did not wash the fruit properly with salt, to kill the bacteria on that fruit, and you consume that particular fruit, that is when you get the cholera. Okay. So the flies are one of the carriers. They carry the bacteria from one point to the other. Okay. So we cannot say they are the major cause, but they help in transporting the bacteria from one point to the other. Because
I know someone that said she will never take mango because she feels mango is the cause of cholera.
No.
We just and I'm very sure that some people where they think say now mango they cause cholera. As soon as hear our nurse don't talk and say no be only mango.
Yes.
Because say get plenty things like that. You get the bacteria where fly they help carry drop for here, you might you buy anything, wash them, now so cholera go come jam you. So we were talking and I caught you. Let's go back to that. The mode of transmission of this bacteria. Now let's hear how it's been transmitted from one person to another.
So it's in biology we call it like the life cycle of the bacteria. So assuming Mr. A has the bacteria, the cholera, and the person passed stool, and rain wash the stool through the gutters, and flies pick the stool and land it on the fruits that we're talking of, whether it is mango, it is Italy, it is guava, it is a banana. Now another person now eats that particular fruits without washing it. The person get infected with the cholera, and the person go past stool, or use his or her hand to eat without washing his or her hand. So it's a cycle. So it keeps transmitting the bacteria. It can be transmitted by humans. It can be transmitted by the flies we're talking of. It can be transmitted through eating unwashed or not properly washed fruits. It can be transmitted through water. And that is why we said, if you live in an environment, the hygiene level should be as high as anything. All the guidelines we've been observing for COVID-19, if we can apply that apply most of them on cholera, we can cut the transmission chain. Because what I mean by cutting the transmission chain is, Mr. A has the bacteria. If the person can take caution that he or she washes his or her hand, touch any plate, you make sure you wash it, you pass stool, you make sure that it's in the right place, and you clean the surface. Now you don't allow yourself to get contaminated, and you don't allow yourself to contaminate other people by shaking hands with an unwashed hand, knowing quite well that you're infected with the cholera. Because if you shake somebody's hand and the person go ahead and touch his or her mouth, or go and eat without washing the hands, so you keep transmitting the bacteria, and many people will be infected. So in a particular community, what happens is, once you discover that there is cholera outbreak, what you try to do is to make sure that you get the people that are infected with the cholera treated by transporting them to a health facility, and you also make effort to cut the transmission chain. Cutting the transmission chain means whatever it is in that community, you advise the people to live a highly hygienic life. They should make sure they boil their water, whether it is well water or any water in their at home before they drink it. You make sure that all the fruits they want to eat in that particular community, they wash it properly with salt before they eat it, and they wash their hands regularly. You get a point. And the sanitation level in that community should be so high, because you go to almost every angwa, you discover that they have a lot of unclean gutters, gutters passing here, there, and sometimes you go to most of our angwas, it's not properly laid out. You discover that people bath and the water flush out, and a whole lot, and a lot of things. So the hygiene level is so poor. You see contaminated waters, aiding the survival of the bacteria, and aiding the survival of even malaria, and aiding the survival of a whole lot of things. So you discover that apart from the cholera, all those activities, if somebody has even typhoid, you can pick it up from the person's stool, in case the person's stool touches the water or it touches the fruits we're talking of. So the hygiene takes care of almost everything regarding cholera, typhoid, and even the malaria. Because if your community is so clean, survival of malaria parasite will be so difficult. If there is no stagnant water in the community, where will the malaria stay? And if you have a lot of bushy areas like uncut grasses, surrounding your house and other things, is a breeding ground for all those things. So by the time you make sure that your environment is clean, by the time you make sure that you live a highly hygienic kind of lifestyle, by the time you make sure that in a community you are in consonant with each other, that we need to protect ourselves, because an injury to one person that has cholera can transmit it to the whole community in that particular area. So you're not only protecting yourself, you're protecting your children, protecting your neighbors, protecting the entire community. So that is how it is. So the transmission can be from human to human, can be from flies to human, can be from fruits to human, can be from, you get it,
From
anything that is
vegetables to
contaminated
human,
with the cholera, and you pick it and you do not observe the hygienic kind of lifestyle I'm talking of, you can pick and you can be infected with the cholera.
So most of the transmission is ingested.
Okay. Is when you ingest it,
yes,
then it goes to, tamper with the system in the body, and that's when you start vomiting, you start passing loose stool and all whatnot.
Okay, so we're still having the issue of cholera and the outbreak, and then we are, let's look at the COVID-19. You made mention of it earlier.
Okay.
Now we had these guidelines: wash your hands,
yes,
sanitize your hands, wear your mask, and all of that. Why do we still have the prevalence of cholera? What happened?
That it then shows that we've not been, taking care of whatever we say about the COVID-19. Because ordinarily, if everybody washes our hands, you make sure that you wash your fruits and other things, whoever has the cholera, as I said, the transmission chain can be broken. You get it? So it then means that, yes, we've been preaching about cholera, we've been preaching about COVID-19. So it then means that we've not been observing the protocols wholeheartedly.
Okay. So, but this outbreak, is it a yearly thing? Must we always have it every year?
We're not supposed to have it every year. But then it means that there is a particular season that this outbreak tends to be so rampant. Okay. This is the time that you see a lot of flies, left, right, and center everywhere. You get the point. Now, this is a season that you have a lot of fruits. The mango you're talking of, this is the season. And you see a lot of fruits, flying left, right, and center. But then, it is not a bad thing. We should be happy and be joyous, like in Plateau State, that we have fruits to eat, because many states do not even have access to all these things. So these things are a blessing to us, but we shouldn't allow the blessing to turn to what can, to consume us, by making sure that we wash the fruits before we eat them with salt, boiled our water before we eat, we take them, and we make sure that we cook our foods well. You get the point. And we make sure that we wash our hands. We make sure that we don't allow our plates outside, that flies can, dance on them. There are people that can eat in the morning, the plates will be outside. You see flies moving up and down inside the plates. Somebody will come back, you don't wash the plates properly, you've used it to fetch food and eat, so a whole lot of things. So those simple kind of hygienic lifestyle that we tend to neglect them are what is what is causing us problems. You get the point. So if we can maintain the hygienic level, make sure that everything that we touch is clean, safe, wash our hands, drink good water by boiling it. If we have access to chlorine, we'll put it inside the water. All these things, then it go ahead to kill all these bacteria, and most of the viruses that we're supposed to be infected with can be killed through all those kind of lifestyle.
So hygiene is key.
Very key.
My people, as you hear, hygiene is very, very key.
So
take care of your environment, what you take, what you drink. Make sure you take care of yourself. Well, it's been a wonderful time. We've been talking with Nurse Kizito, and we're looking at the prevalence of cholera. We shall go on a short break. When we come back, we will continue. Let's take a short break. Welcome back from that short break. As I said earlier, we've been talking with Nurse Kizito, and we were talking about the prevalence of cholera. We're talking of how we can prevent it, even though we are yet to start talking about the prevention, but we've spoken about what cholera is and what causes it and how it's being transmitted. Well, the studio lines to call us remain 081 000 81124. I'll take that slowly. 081 000 81124. Please, when you call to profile your solutions, turn down the volume of your radio set, move away from it, and then go straight to the point. Tell us your name, your location, and what you want to contribute. Thank you. So we have a caller. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Please,
Hello?
we can't hear you. Can you move away from your radio set?
Hello?
We lost that call. Hello?
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 How far?
Good morning.
Morning, how are you?
I'm fine.
Thank you.
Your name, please, and your location.
Huh?
Tell us your name and your location.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you. All right, please do call us
Hello?
back.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, presenter.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Seriously, I appreciate this program. I'm Samuel from Abattoir.
You're what?
Samuel from Abattoir.
Okay, Samuel, please go ahead.
I want to contribute.
Okay.
Really, people need sensitization about this sickness, especially the little children. Yes,
Okay.
because you find out that these children, they have been purging, but they will not tell their parents. They will be hiding it.
All right.
They are like they have been having this sickness, so they need sensitization even in the schools.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Samuel. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Hello? Hello? All right, please do call us back.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you. Good morning.
How far?
Fine.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. E be like say this our phone lines they get wahala this morning. All right. Hello?
Good morning, my sister. Good morning, our guests.
Good
Good
morning.
morning.
Okrafo.
Okay.
Okrafo.
Hello, we can hear you.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Hello?
Hello, we can hear you. All right. I think that was Mazi Patrick.
Okorafo.
Yeah. So please call us, please, Mazi. All right. Thank you very much. So just before we went on that break, we spoke about the transmission, as we said earlier. I would like to ask now, what is there a specific population that are affected by cholera?
Yes, if you look at the trend of infection of cholera.
Okay, we have a call. Sorry. Hello.
Hello?
Yeah. Good morning.
Hello?
Hello. Good morning. All right, we lost that call. I think it's still Mazi. Mazi, please call us back. Thank you. So, sorry.
So, as I was saying, if you look at the trend of infection of cholera, you discover that it's mostly in communities that the hygiene level is so poor.
Okay.
Because if you look at their source of drinking water, most times is well water, and if you ask and make surveys, you discover that they don't get to cook, boil the water before they take them, and you discover that most of the fruits we've been talking of, instead of washing them with salt and water
Do you have a call? Okay.
instead of washing them with salt and water to kill whatever kind of bacteria that might be present on that or found on that particular fruit, they don't get to do that. And this one funny thing about this cholera bacteria, sometimes people don't get to know that they have them. And once somebody is infected, you continue to shed cholera bacteria in your stools for like 7 to 14 days. And cholera usually cause mild, as I said, we could say it cause a mild to moderate kind of diarrhea. And people that start passing that kind of stool and the vomiting, depending on the individual, if it happens immediately, or some people will stay for days before it gets to manifest. But once you a carrier of the bacteria, you have it in your body, you keep transmitting them. And somebody talk about children. Of course,
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
Yes, Okra for Patrick, my name. I'm calling from Obro Educational Center Village in Angola. Good morning, our guest.
Yeah, good morning, sir.
I wish to call on the Ministry of Health and the authority within the environment to at least start educate Nigeria during this rainy season, or during any rainy season, and all this seasonal food. Because if you take statistics, you see that between January and today, as we're talking, the number of people that are reported of cholera, they are too much compared with past years. True. So there's need for constant enlightenment. And Nigerians should try.
Hello. Oh, we lost Mazi. We were making some very important contributions. If you can call us back, let's get what you have to say.
Yes, I was saying, somebody talked about children passing loose stool, but they don't get to talk to their parents about it. So I think it is something that as parents, of course, we need to look inward and know what to do about it. There should be a good communication between you and your children, that whatever happens to them, they should be able to open up and tell you. You get a point. So it then means that we need to close the gap in the relationship that we have with our children.
All right. Hello?
Yeah, as I was saying.
Yeah.
The cholera, the statistics for this year.
Yes.
Outnumbered
that of last year. Hello? Whoa. What's happening?
So as I said, because the symptoms in children is the same with the symptoms found in adults, from severe drowsiness to fever to convulsions and to coma. And if going by what the first caller said about sometimes the children don't get to tell their parents that they are passing loose stool, and before you know it, maybe if the condition gets worse, sometimes some children don't want to complain because they don't want to take the medication. But however, whatever it is, you get it, we need to tell our children, close the relationship gap that exists between us and them. They should confide in us and let us know, no matter what they feel. You should know whether when they are happy and when they are not, and you should know when they are eating well and when they are not eating well. You should know when something is wrong with them. So the communication, by verbal communication, or by looking at the person, you should weigh the mood of the person and ask questions. And we should keep on asking our children, educate them about the need to maintain a high level of hygiene, whether they are in school or at home or in the community, because they tend to play a lot. And we talked about the hygiene even in the community. By the time that you have heaps of waste gathered in your community, there are times that children go to those waste and they start picking things at random, and you see a lot of pampers, used parts and other things found in that particular environment. So if we don't get to educate them and sit them down as a family, as neighbors, and as a community, we'll be in for it, because by the time the child is get infected with the cholera bacteria, it harm them. Their level of immunity is not as depending on the age of the child. A child of like 3, 4, 5 years, you don't expect his or her immunity to be as much as that person that is like 15, 20, 30 years. And and as well as the adults. So if you look at all these things we've been saying, even the COVID-19, if you are aged, you know that your immune system is a bit low, and if you get exposed to this cholera bacteria, it can harm you faster than, you know, it can harm somebody that is still in his youthful age or a youthful age, because you tend to have, you are still strong and your immune system is intact. So we should watch out for our children, create good rapport between us and them, let them complain to us and tell us how they feel, and if there's anything wrong with them, whatsoever it is, they should open up. They shouldn't hide it, because if it gets to the severe stage of, you know, somebody having muscles cramp and going into shock, you know, if you present to the hospital, it even set the whole hospital, you know, at you know, everybody's attention will not be the same, because you're trying to save a life, because the person is almost, you know, passing on. And you know, so all these things, we should be able to trace what is wrong with the children, talk to them, they should complain to us whatever they feel, and so that we'll be in tandem with each other at home.
Okay, so but for those who are able to get first aid, when I mean first aid, that they got treatment immediately the symptoms surfaced, how is their chances of survival?
Very high.
Okay.
You know, as we talked of, you start from the home as you're passing loose stool and vomiting, oral rehydration salt. If you don't have the one that you do buy in the chemist or in the pharmacy or in the hospital, you can start, you know, put small salt and take it. You know, there are times you do some kind of therapy at home, salt, sugar, you know, you mix it with water and you take it. You tend to, you know, rehydrate yourself before you even reach the hospital, you know. So it's important. And if you're in the hospital, of course, intravenous fluids to rehydrate you will be there. The antibiotics will be there, because the bacterial infection, and zinc supplement. Sometimes it's advisable that you know, medications like Flagyl or metronidazole and the zinc tablets and the ORT, if you cannot buy and keep, you get the point. Sometimes you know how to mix them.
Okay, sorry, let's pick this call. Hello? Hello? I think we lost that call. All right, so are there preventive measures or methods for preventing cholera? Do we have them?
Yes. Wash your hands regularly.
Okay.
You get the point. Then drink only bottled or boiled water. All of us cannot afford the bottled water because of the, but we, no matter what, at least we can boil the water, whether with firewood, with our stove, with our gas. Then avoid raw food. You know, raw foods, in the sense that if you must eat raw foods, wash them properly. You get it, so that you don't just go and buy mango, you pluck mango on the tree, or Italy, or banana and whatever. At least make sure that you maintain a high level of you know, and if you must do that, you get it, whether you're on the street or this, try and buy water to wash those fruits properly, because sometimes when you ask the people selling it, they will tell you that I've washed it, but you've washed it, is exposed, and you know, flies left, right and center landing on it. You know, this one will come and peep and go, and you don't know whether the flies has picked a bacteria from someone that just passed through nearby.
I know of someone who has trees in his house and they produce fruits, of course, and whenever he wants to take his fruit, he doesn't wash it. He says the rain has washed it.
It's a very weird kind of lifestyle, because we discourage that.
Okay.
You know, the fact that it's in your house, you don't know where the flies that are coming in from other places, where are they coming from? You are not the only person in that particular community. You don't even know whether somebody has thrown water, has washed some stools that has some bacteria or some infectious diseases close to your house, and the flies can pick them and land on the fruits. Or does he try? Can he tell us that he has trapped all the flies that cannot reach the fruits in the house? So
well, that's his philosophy.
Yeah, so
okay.
we discourage that.
All right. So, as part of the prevention, I know there are vaccines for measles, vaccines for polio, and the rest. What of cholera? Do we have any form of vaccines for cholera?
Yeah, but it doesn't work very well compared to the ones you're saying, and most people have a slim chance of catching cholera if you maintain all this hygienic level that we're taking off. You get it. So there's no any proof. The vaccine that is available is not as effective as the one you talk of, all the killer diseases, measles and other things. Yes. You get it. So the best thing is the preventive measures should be observed. As Mr. Mazi called to
Yes.
complain about, we need much time to sensitize our people. I know not everybody can be listening to us here, but then our social media on Facebook, on Instagram, or WhatsApp, if we can, instead of sending things that are not really helpful, we should we should be sending messages that at least can help one or two persons, and go down to the villages. Use the traditional rulers, use the pastors, the imams, the traditional, worshippers. Let the lead or the leaders of those particular, or the gatekeepers in in every sector, talk to their people about the need to maintain all the preventive measures we mentioned. Just make sure that you boil your water before you take them. You wash your hands regularly. If you must eat fruits, wash them properly before you eat them. Vegetables, make sure you wash them with salt, before you take them, because there are people that eat vegetables raw. You get it, tomatoes and other things, but you wash them before you take them, so that you don't get eat fruits or whatever that is contaminated with the bacteria called cholera.
So, with your position,
yes, ma'am.
Yes, as a nurse, and then some other key positions you hold, can you share with us any means of awareness? Have you created any form of awareness on cholera? And if you have, what have you done?
Yes, the means we've created compared to COVID-19, I cannot say our committee was saddled with a responsibility of the Plateau State Health Interprofessional COVID-19 Response Committee, which I happen to be the co-secretary. Now, we produce some leaflets, we produce the treatment algorithm for COVID-19 for health workers in every facility. So we had some video clips of proper use of face masks and other clips that we demonstrated how proper hand hygiene and other things, and we've gone to a lot of media houses within JOS and to shed more light on all those things. But for cholera, apart from the media engagements that we do go out to speak to people, and if we found ourselves in having presentations to a group of people in the community or even in the church, you make use of the opportunity to get to advise them on all the preventive measures and how people should not take cholera for granted, because nobody is immune to it. You get it. So you don't just expose yourself to doing things that can you can contract the bacteria. So we sensitize people to do that.
Thank you so much, Nurse Kizito. I think our time is gradually coming to an end. Do you have anything to tell my listener, my villagers?
Make sure you wash your hands regularly, drink only bottled or you boiled your water before you take them, and if you must eat fruits, you wash them properly before you eat them. And in your community, maintain high level of sanitation and high level of hygiene wherever you found yourself. Thank you so much.
It's all about hygiene. Hygiene is very important. Hygiene, now wetin we dey talk, clean your hand, clean your house, take good water, take good food, stay safe. Now you go take care of yourself. Nobody go take care for you. So thank you very much. It's been an interesting conversation, but unfortunately we have exhausted our time. However, I promise to be back next week, God willing, with another interesting package. I hope you have been enlightened, you have been educated, you have been better informed. The program has been Village Square, brought to you by Tech and Peace Desk, supported by Church in Action Netherlands. With much gratitude to all of you who made out time to call. Thank you so much, my guests, for coming. Thank you for making out time too from your busy schedule to come.
Thank you too.
On behalf of the executive producer Helen Philemon Hagai, the initiator Kabiru Sabo, the producer Rhett John Rhett, associate producer Joseph Ojedeji, the entire production crew, the staff of Tech and Peace Desk, I am Gloria Pa saying bye-bye and have a blessed day.